Hey, it's me, Jay, your GM. I use he, him. And this is Jay's Really Good Dungeons and Dragons Show. Hello and welcome to Jay's Really Good Dungeons and Dragons Show, episode 4. After last episode underperformed the previous 2 episodes by a lot, I thought that I was done making Dungeons & Dragons content. However, it seems that Matthew Critical Role has retired from making Dungeons & Dragons content suddenly, because he hasn't been on his show for 2 weeks, and I guess that means that he's gone forever. So anyway, I've decided that there's only one man to fill the hole left by Matthew Critical Role, and that's Jay. On today's Really Good Dungeons & Dragons Show, I wanted to talk about character creation. I've been watching an awful lot of Baldur's Gate lately, and in that game, you make a lot of characters, but it's really different than making a character in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. As such, I wanted to share the tips and tricks of an experienced pro, like myself, so that you could go and make your own character creation today. Nailed it. In Baldur's Gate, you get a really handy visualizer for your character creation, but when you're playing it, there's a lot of options and suggestions, and it can be kind of overwhelming. But I've got a few tips and tricks that'll help you make sure that you get the perfect character every time. The first step is to think up an interesting concept for a character. Then go to any of your friendly Dungeons & Dragons communities. Simply post about the idea that you had for the character, and then go away for 45 minutes. Then, when you come back, there will have been a 45-minute argument about the idea that you posted. 3 people will have gotten banned over the argument, 2 people will be no longer talking to each other, and at least 1 person will have said a slur. But afterwards, someone will have made your character for you in order to prove a point about action economy or something, but hey, you don't have to make it now, so the character creation part is easy. Next, you will want to make a personality for your character. That's also really easy. Simply think about all the parts of yourself that you think are terrible and unlovable, then cram them all into a character. Call them things like Gremlin Child, Goblin Baby, or Trash Boy, and present them to your friends. But secretly, you will want your friends to love and accept them, because that will be the same as them loving and accepting those parts of yourself that you're afraid to admit are real. Sometimes when you're making characters, you'll notice that you have a tendency to put the same trait in many different characters. Like, for example, lately I've been naming a lot of my characters gender-neutral names and using they-them pronouns. But this doesn't mean anything about you, and you shouldn't think about it too deeply. It doesn't mean anything. When you're creating your character, it's important to think about the party dynamics. For example, does your party already have a healer? Does your party already have an asshole? Does your party already have a gay disaster? If not, you might want to take on one of those roles. And if it does already have all those things, you probably still want to take on one of those roles. They're the best ones. Sometimes in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you might be tempted to think about min-maxing your character or optimizing for combat. But this is a waste of time, because if you make an optimized character that's good at combat, then I won't be able to beat you. And I don't like that. Character creation is one of the parts of Dungeons & Dragons where you can experience the most creativity and self-expression. You can use abilities such as art, or your ability to weave an interesting narrative, or you can rip off an anime that you really liked and that came out a few months ago and that everybody has seen, and so they will know what you're doing. And that's also creative. From watching popular shows like Critical Role online, you may think that most people come to the table with fleshed out characters with rich backstories and complex narratives and motivations. However, in my experience, most players come to the table with a character named Clown Shoes Bumblefuck, and their motivation is burning down your campaign and destroying everything that you've worked for and tried to do. They will ignore you aggressively at the table, making sure to actively dis-listen to you, which means that they are probably listening to another podcast or something else while you're talking. And you will just have to swallow the constant pain and torment that Clown Shoes Bumblefuck does, because you need 6 players to play the game, and you're scared to have a confrontation with people. But that's fine. And I've actually kind of come to love Clown Shoes Bumblefuck. He's actually grown into a really complex character thanks to his many interactions with Global Florp the Fishman. I hope that this episode helps you understand how to create your own character in Dungeons & Dragons. I also hope that this episode does better than my last episode, because I do stay awake and cry at night because of my poor performance on this platform. I hope that Matthew Critical Role will continue to send me secret signals to let me know that I am the future heir to the Dungeons & Dragons fortune. And I hope that everything continues to go well. Please, if you'd like, you should follow me and like and subscribe on this YouTube channel.